Welcome to Atlassian Demos. Today you'll be seeing a demo for Make Jira Work for You with automation. We hope you enjoy.
Hello everybody and welcome. My name is John McKiernan and I'm here today to talk to you about automation, or more specifically, how automation can help remove all the noise from your work life, be the personal assistant that you always wanted, and help deliver your work where you want it and how you want it. So if automation is brand new to you, fear not, it's not difficult. Just keep thinking, if this guy can do it, anybody can do it. And if the concept is totally new to you, I suppose the elevator pitch is that 1, it allows you to automate pretty much any repetitive task in Jira. 2, it connects your third-party tools with Jira, which is pretty much what we're going to be talking about today. And 3, it's available for all Jira Cloud customers across all Jira products, and it's super easy to use. You just drag and drop the rules together. So my goal today is to not waffle on too long. I want to spend 90% of our time on the demo because that is really where we're going to do most of our learning. My goal is for this to be the most practical and actionable demo that you watch today, because you're going to walk away with things that will change your work life. So I'm going to get to that in a moment, but first I want to set some context about the problem that we're solving. And as you've probably guessed, it starts with Napoleon. So this is Napoleon looking quite dashing upon his horse. And aside from publishing a romance novel, which is a true story, he also conquered most of Europe. So it's safe to say he was a busy man. Now, he believed very strongly in having a focused mind, and he worked hard to remove all unnecessary distractions from his life. So for example, Napoleon never opened his mail, any of his correspondence, until at least 3 weeks after it was brought to him. His philosophy was that if it was important enough, it would surface itself. If it wasn't, then it would go away. And he really reveled in the fact that his correspondence just dwindled all around him, and he got more done that way. And this was a strategy that worked really, really well for Napoleon to a certain point. He did, after all, get exiled twice. Now, things have picked up pace fairly considerably since 1815. We have Snapchat now, for example. And the tactics that worked so well for Napoleon back then are probably not going to work so well now. You'd have to imagine Napoleon in today's world. You know, you might have Slack alerts buzzing in his tight leggings pockets, or Jira notifications adding another number to his Gmail account. The fact is, he couldn't possibly ignore everything because he would lose every battle. So what would he do? He could hire a team of people to go through his correspondence and maybe do some of the low-level work. And that's kind of what we've been doing for the past few decades. That's the idea of a personal assistant, or having people working under you. But we're well past that. This is 2021. This is the automation age. And that is what today's demo is all about, not Napoleon, sadly. So while you might not conquer Europe, we're definitely going to help you conquer your day today. And I also promise that that's the cheesiest thing I will say, probably. Okay, let's talk a little bit about this idea of automation as your personal assistant, not necessarily with a man bun like our character here. So this is someone who never sleeps. They spend their whole night just filtering through important, relevant information for you, surfacing the important stuff. And better again, they actually do a lot of the repetitive low-level tasks for you. So for example, if you like to get your work done on the walk to your bus and you want a Slack alert to let you know what's going on, fine. If you want an email at 9 a.m. on Monday, just give me a quick summary of everything in one email, that's fine as well. The idea of this is that when you get into work and you pour your delicious black coffee, you can immediately just sit down and start working on the cerebral stuff, the juicy stuff that our brains were built for, without fearing about all the small things. And all of this while knowing that Jira remains mission critical and your central source of truth. So before I dive into the demo, I want to show you this awful 1980s-esque slide that I've showed a few thousand times to explain how automation works. Now, this was the way it was explained to me the first time I started working with automation. It's simply Lego blocks that you put together. We drag and drop these Lego blocks and we put them together in whatever way makes sense for us to build our rules. That's what we're going to be doing today. So for us, every rule starts with a trigger. And that just means we're listening for an event in Jira or external to Jira, and then we respond to it. So often, second comes a condition, and the condition just refines the rule. So for example, a trigger might be whenever an issue is created in Jira, and the condition might be if that issue is high priority. Now, every single rule finishes with an action. There's my slow animation. And down it comes, and an action simply executes the rule for you. So again, that could be anything. It could be updating a field in Jira, or it could be sending a Microsoft Teams message, or it could be interacting with GitHub. It really is, the world is our oyster. Now, you'll be pleased to know that the UI is not a 1980s Lego GIF. It's actually quite beautiful in products, and I really hope that anybody who is not familiar with automation becomes much more familiar with this section over the next few months following our demo today. It's really fun to use. That's the weird thing about automation. It kind of has this taboo about it that it's difficult and tricky, but it's actually really fun. And that's what we'll go through today. Now, better again, we're going to be doing all of this from the Jira automation template library. This is fresh out of the oven. Only a few months ago did we launch this. And what it is a place with hundreds of templates, but also a safe sandbox playground where we can go in and build the rules together in public without fear of breaking anything and without any fear of doing anything wrong, which is a great place for us to start. So for anybody watching this live for Team 21, you'll have a little link in your console to go off to the automation template library and join me. For anybody who's watching this in the future and watching the recording, I hope you survived. And you can just follow this short link here, atlassian.com/automation, and that will bring you to the automation template library. Okay, with that, let's use the magic of technology, and I'm going to switch over to the demo. Okay, this is the automation template library where we'll be doing all of our magic today. So I'll give you the 60-second rundown of it, and then we'll get straight down to the playground and go through the demo. So top of the page here, a little bit of a description about what automation templates are all about. Quick video if you want to get a quick conceptual view of it. Now, first bit, popular categories. So in here, we can go in and we can see the most popular rules for these categories. So if you use Slack and Microsoft Teams, this is a really good starting point for you. You can go in, you can see the exact rules and start implementing them into your instance. Now, one thing to call out at the moment, we don't have the ability to just click a button and for it to come into your instance. So you actually have to copy and paste those rules across or build those rules across in your own instance. We'll get there soon enough. Now, further down the page, we have our most popular templates. These are the 6 templates that our customers are using most often. And in these ones, we go into even greater depth. So for example, sending a daily Slack message, which we'll be doing pretty similar today. You can see a screenshot of what the rules should look like here. Got a video where you'll see my monotone Irish voice walking you through how to do it. And then a recipe where we walk through step by step how to build the rule. Now, this is probably my advice for anybody who's sort of going to finish off watching this demo and then they want to go back in and learn a little bit more about automation and start building rules. Start off here because it's a really nice break by break way of building out the rules. Now down we come to the automation playground. This is the pièce de résistance, and this, excuse my Napoleonic French, and this is where we're going to be building our demos today. So what this is a safe environment, a sandbox, a playground where you can go in, see lots of templates, and all of these are really valuable templates for you to use. And you can copy these into your own instance, or you can actually go in and build. So you could say, great, yeah, I'll add a condition in there, or let me see what happens if I drag and drop this up here. The idea is that you can play around with it and you can feel comfortable without the fear of breaking anything in your real Jira instance. I know when I started, I was very worried that I was going to break something. So this gives you peace of mind as you're testing it out. So this is where we're going to be building our demos from. And if you join me all the way here at the bottom left, you'll see a label called Team 21. Click on that. These are the 4 rules that we're going to be going through today. And they're here forevermore. So if you feel like I'm going too fast at any stage, fear not, because these rules will stay here. You can always go back, watch the recording, and these rules will stay where they are. So you can just copy them across in your own time. I'm trying to sort of, I've picked 4 rules that show off different parts of automation. So the idea here is that I teach you how to fish rather than serve you up sashimi. Now, having said that, of course, this is a template library, so there's hundreds of templates, so it is kind of a buffet as well. But the idea is for you to mold these rules and to put them into use in your own ways, how you want it. Okay, so the 4 rules, I'm going to start off with this one here. Post a weekly Microsoft Teams message with all newly created issues in Jira. I want to give you a little bit of background about this rule because we use this ourselves within the marketing team in Atlassian. So we are growing very fast as a company and as a marketing team. And what we discovered was various teams were creating similar tickets for the design team. So for example, I might create a ticket saying, hey, I need a new image for this email. Someone else has created the same one. So we said we need better transparency as well as a better process. So we set up a notification in Jira that in Slack that every time a new Jira issue was created, we would get an alert in Slack. Fantastic. But it solved the transparency issue. It created a noise issue. We then had 15, 16 Slack notifications, you know, that little noise, and it pulls you out of your focus mode. And we said, okay, it's been good, but we need to optimize and improve. And that's exactly what automation is for. So we created this automation rule. So now we get one notification every day listing all the newly created issues of the past 24 hours. Only 3 building blocks. Think back to that Lego blocks awful slide that I showed you earlier on. Just 3 Lego blocks for us. And we're going to build this rule from scratch together because I think that's the best way for us to learn. So back we go. Click on the big blue button and we shall build this rule. Now, as I mentioned earlier on, every rule starts with the trigger. And usually it just listens for an event in Jira or beyond. But for us, we're actually going to have a scheduled rule for this one. So in here, you can see all of your choices. I'll just click on scheduled. Now you have 2 options. One, you can go into advanced cron if you are that way inclined. And that means you can, specify at exact times that you want this rule to run. Or you can keep it simple, which I do because I'm a simple man. And I'll just say, just run every day, please. Thank you very much. Okay, we're 1/3 of the way through this rule. Feels good. You're already flying. Now, this time we're going to go straight into an action, and we're going to use our newest action for Jira automation, which is called the lookup issues action. Now, I was pretty giddy when the product team shipped this because it really does solve 1,000 problems. It's probably the most complicated action I'm going to show you today, even though it's not that complicated. So bear with me. It's going to get a bit more straightforward after this one, but I thought we would dive deep and then swim after that one. So the lookup issues action, what does it do? What it does is it searches for up to 100 JQL issues and then allows you to use those issues elsewhere, allows you to print those issues out elsewhere. So for example, you can see here, we've got it in gray fade, any issues that are greater than medium priority. Well, later on, I'm going to create an action and send an email for all of those issues, or send a Slack or an MS Teams message or a Twilio, or update a Jira issue with a comment, whatever you like. So for me, what I'm going to do in here is pop in this bit of JQL. And if JQL is brand new to you, don't worry about it. It's really simple to use. Again, you can just copy and paste, and in here we'll teach you lots more. So the JQL for me is project is equal to this. So that's just the project that we work from in marketing. This specifies that it's been created within the past day, and this simply specifies that it's not already marked as done. And you can even click on this button here to validate that you're actually making sense with your JQL. We're in the playground, so there's no issues at the moment, but it would find and tell you that, hey, at the moment, there's 5 issues or 6 issues, whatever. And that's it. That's all there is to the JQL. That's all there is to the lookup issues action. You just put the JQL in. Really, where we get to see the beautiful champagne moment is with the next stage of the next Lego block that we're going to be using. And for this experiment, I said we use Slack and Atlassian, but I know there's lots of people who use Microsoft Teams. So let's use Teams here as well. So in Teams, we're going to go in, and you do have to set up your webhook just once. I've just got a sample there, but you can see the docs. It'll walk you through step by step. Not that difficult. And once you've done it once, you never have to do it again. So now we're in here. All we have to do is put in a message title so everybody is clearly aware of what it's all about. And then lastly, what's the actual message? Now, I know you're thinking, you're looking at me going, hang on a minute, this guy said this is easy. He said that you don't need to be a developer. He said that there's no code, no languages to learn. All true. So this is a smart value. Smart values allow you access pretty much any issue data in Jira. And it's one of the things that really takes automation to the next level and allows you to do a lot more. So we don't actually need to use any of this. Let me get rid of this for a moment. Okay, this smart value, which you can find in all of our docs, you don't need to learn it. You just need to copy and paste it from either one of the rules in the template library or from our docs. You can see them all down here where it links off to and a few examples. This smart value is simply, think of it like a pair of ears, and it's just listening out saying, it looks like this person has used the lookup issues action elsewhere in this rule. Let's print off the results from that JQL in whatever this action is. So that's all there is. The rest of the smart value is just adding some smart to it. And what I would advise if this is new to you is simply to copy and paste what I have here. These rules are going to stay within the template library. So this is just adds a hyperlink to it. So instead of it just listing all of the issues, it's going to make them hyperlinked issues. Brilliant. That means I can just click off and see who else has created an issue for the design team. Secondly, include the key. Third, the assignee, so we know who it is, so I can talk to them and say, hey, looks like we're both doing the same thing. And a summary, so we both know everything that's going on. And that is it. We save it. 1, 2, 3, 3 components. A little bit of complexity there, but once you've done it once or twice, it becomes easier and easier, and you're going to save so much time and so many headaches over time. So do take the time to go in and play around with it. Now we're in the playground, so we don't need to save the rule and give it a name. Rather, what we'll do is kick on to our next rule and learn even more. That's fun. Okay, the second rule that I want to cover over with everybody is this one here. Because I want to introduce the idea of the if-else condition. Now, this rule is like a triage, if you think it that way. So you don't want to get notifications all the time in Jira. You only want to get a notification when it's important to you or when it's relevant to you. If you manage a team, you don't want to be spending your whole time or your mornings sort of just flipping issues to certain people based off, I don't know, languages or labels or priorities, whatever it might be. If that all sounds like familiar to you, then this is a rule that's going to save you. And even if it doesn't, it's a good way for you to learn if else and how it works. So the rule here, whenever an issue is created, if the priority is medium or high, let's send an email. But if it's highest, we're going to assign the issue to Steve, and we're either going to send an SMS or a Slack message, depending on what you use. So let's go in and create this rule together. Okay, as usual, big blue button, feels good clicking that. Now we go in here and we're going to choose the issue created trigger this time. So whenever an issue is created in Jira, easy peasy, nothing more to be done there. Now, this time we're going into a condition. So we want to refine it. It's not just every single issue is created, but rather just certain issues that we're looking out for. Now, 90% of the time, I'm going to use this issue fields condition. And for the rest of the demo, I think that's the only condition I use. But for this one, we're using the if else block. And we click in there and you'll see a little bit of magic over here. This is the trunk of the rule. Think of it like a tree. And we've branched off here. Now we're working on an if branch. And later, we're going to work on an else branch. And you can just do that down the rule as much as you like. If else, if else, if else. It allows you to triage, and it just takes care of all those little headaches, all of those little context switching roles that you're doing at the moment that keep you up at night. So within our if block, now we go in and use our issue fields condition. Now, why do I use this all the time? Because it's easy. That's why. And it's just a drop down. You choose your fields. So for me, it's priority that I'm looking for. Now, keep in mind, if you have custom fields, they're all going to be included in here. I know lots of people do have custom fields, so it works with everything you have. It's smart enough to know that. Now, the priority that I'm considering here is simply medium or high. Now, when that happens, that's not really a big deal. So what's the action I want to perform? I just want to email. So I'll just make sure that the assignee gets an email being notified about that. And that's pretty good, right? So this rule by itself, hey, a high priority issue is being created, and I'll throw one little smart value in again. So that's just ABC 1, 2, 3 is a high priority panic, but not too much. So it's not something that they might need to worry about or freak out about too much, but it's nice just knowing that that's off my plate. I don't need to think about those priority issues at the moment. Automation's done that for me. So by itself, that's a useful rule, but this is automation. We want to take this to the next level. And this time we go into our else branch. We don't need to do anything more here. So in our else branch, we're actually just replicating what we did up here, but slightly changing it. So we add a condition. Once again, the issue fields condition. Once again, we go to our field and we type priority. There it is. And this time it's highest. All right, so I'm a small business owner. If there's a highest priority issue raised, I can't afford to lose my biggest customers, and I need to know that this is going to get seen to as quickly as possible. So what do? First thing I do is accountability. I want to make sure that someone is on it. So I assign the issue. Now I could specify, I could send this to a group. So like a round robin group, maybe it's someone in a different country on a different time zone. But for the sake of this example, what I'm going to do is send it to Steve, who I know is very good at dealing with these issues. So now Steve is accountable for it, okay? He's been notified that he has this new highest issue, but we want to take it to the next level. So let's just say that this has happened at 3 a.m. and Steve is asleep because he's been out for a big dinner and he's eaten too much. What we want to do is send an SMS to Steve saying, hey, Steve, wake up, highest issue has just been created, highest priority issue has been created. So we can go in here. If you've got Twilio, you can send an SMS. Of course, you have to pay Twilio. They need to buy groceries too. But it's handy if you do work and send SMSs as part of your Jira process. Or alternatively, what we can do is send a Slack message, which is what we do in-house. So just like Microsoft Teams, pop your webhook in. That's how you do it. If you've never done it before, do it once, never have to do it again. And what we do in here is we simply want to send a Slack message so Steve knows. And again, that just means it's going to say, hey, Steve, because he's the assignee, you better check out ABC1234. It's coming in hot. And what we'll do is we'll actually send it to the hot room. So just in case Steve's out, this is a public message. Steve will be notified, but everybody is aware of exactly what is going on. And that's basically it. So you could take this as far as you want, stretch it, extend it, adapt it. But whenever an issue is created, medium or high, send an email. But if it's highest, give it to Steve, send a Slack message or an SMS. And that is it. If else, triage, very, very handy. Okay, we are halfway through the demo. You've already learned a lot about Napoleon. I've got one more fact for you later on, so hold on for it. I've got 2 last rules for you, and I think you're going to find them super useful. So bear with me, and let's go through these and learn even more. Okay. Send a Slack message to devs when PR is merged. So I can't ask anybody to put hands up because this is a virtual world, but for anybody that works with a dev team, no doubt you'll have certain problems that you want to solve, or maybe you are a developer. So one, developers probably more than anybody hate context switching, and understandably, it's very frustrating when you're working in code to then switch over and start update an issue in Jira. You either forget or you switch context and it takes you time to get back to your code. Secondly, maybe as an administrator or a scrum master or a project manager, you're always going over to developers and saying, hey, have you updated Jira? Have you updated logged your hours, or have you whatever? That's something that changes your context as well. You're constantly just going around spending your time harassing people to get updates to make sure that Jira stays your central source of truth. This is a rule that solves all of those problems and then some. So let's talk through it. Whenever a PR is merged, and that's not necessarily with Bitbucket. So I use Bitbucket, but if you use GitHub, GitLab, or even Jenkins or Octopus CI, anything at all, we connect with those. We very much believe in an open tool chain. Use the best tools at your disposal. Whenever a PR is merged from your Git provider, for the related issue in Jira, let's transition it to done, leave a comment on the issue for transparency, and send a Slack message so everybody knows. So let's build that from scratch at a nice slower pace so it all makes sense. Okay, in our triggers, if you go to your little drop down here, you can see that there's a DevOps selection. Now, all of these will work with any Git provider that you use for the most part. And the trigger I'm interested in the most is pull request merged. Now, again, this is just a playground, so I don't have my Bitbucket connected. To do so, just like Slack and Microsoft, connect it once, never have to do it again, not that hard, and this will show you how. But for now, I'll just leave that blank. Next thing we do, condition. And you're probably guessing already which condition is he going to use? Yes, the issue fields condition. So in here, it's already set for us. Status is what I'm looking for, and the status is in progress. So when the PR is merged for the related issue in Jira, if it's in progress, what do we want to do? We want to transition it. And we want to specify that we want to transition it to done. Okay, so this rule by itself already is really handy. This means that devs no longer need to go into Jira. Problem solved. But as ever, let's take it a few steps further because we want to show how smart we are. So what we'll do is we'll comment on the issue for full transparency, and we'll say, hey, assignee, this issue has now been merged, time to deploy this. And you can even add a little bit of personality as well if you want, just so everybody knows it was automation that did it, even though we can see the breadcrumbs in it. So we'll save that. And we'll add one more component. And again, this is something that we actually use in-house as well. The idea is that, you've got to, especially in this virtual world, it's been tricky over the last year, let's not lie. And you have to take the little victories when they come. So every little PR that's merged, we have an emoji for a rocket, time to deploy this, and everybody knows that we're making progress, because that's what Jira is all about, really. It empowers you to build amazing things one little step at a time. So we may as well celebrate all of that. So we'll pop it into the automation Slack room, which is what we do. We save our rule, and there you have it. When your PR is merged in GitHub for your related issue in Jira, transition it to done, comment on the issue, send a Slack message to everybody, let them know, name the rule, and Bob's your uncle. Sound good? Okay, that is the third of our 4 rules, and we are on to the 4th and final rule. Don't be sad, this will all be recorded, you can watch it again. And this time, what I want to show to you is something a little bit different. So this one is for anybody that's, I suppose anybody, first of all, who works with customers externally, anybody that works with Jira Service Management, or anybody that sort of finds themselves constantly updating internal stakeholders, especially if you work for a bigger company. So let's go in and have a look and see what I am talking about. Maybe the best way for me to explain it is to use a real life example. So in Atlassian, if you were to ever come across a bug in Atlassian, which I don't think it's ever happened before, you could raise a request for Atlassian to fix it. Now, the only thing more frustrating than waiting for a bug to be fixed is when the bug is being fixed and you don't know about it. This rule takes care of that problem. So whenever an issue is transitioned to done, so whatever bug is fixed in our private software project, for all public issues that are related to it in our service desk, in our Jira Service Management, what we want to do is add a comment to the issue, which means all customers will get notified. And then we're actually going to take it a little step further and let the sales team know via Slack. So best way for me to explain this is, as ever, go in and build this from scratch, 1 block at a time. Big blue button, great rule. Okay, so here we are. Whenever an issue transitions, so I can go in here and say, well, whenever an issue is transitioned to done, and I can specify even further that whenever it's from selected for development to done, just to be 100% sure that this is a bug fix or a feature request or whatever you like. And you can add more conditions to refine it even further. Now, I'm just going to add 1 condition for us here. And again, issue fields condition. And what we're going to look at is project this time. Very, very handy. So probably a good chance for me to call out as well that, as I mentioned earlier on, automation is free for everybody to use across Jira Cloud. When you want to start automating across projects and products, that might be the time to start thinking about Jira Premium, where you have far more scope and availability to do it. Your restrictions within Jira Free and Jira Standard to do global automations are there, so probably Premium is something to consider. But anyway, let me get back to the rule. So whenever an issue is transitioned to done, and that happens in our software project, what we want to do is branch off now. So keep an eye on the trunk of the rule. So keep thinking of it like a tree. This is the trunk, and we're branching. See, just like the if else that we did earlier on. So now this means that I could click on anything I want from this drop down. So let's say subtasks. So this now says, all right, this is the parent issue, and I'm working on the subtask of that parent. Or maybe this is the parent of this. Maybe this is a subtask, and I'm now working on the parent. So it allows you to work on pretty much any related issue in Jira, and this is beautiful. This is magic. You can start linking and syncing your projects and your work. Super handy, and I shall click in there. In fact, it's not the parent I'm looking for, it's the related issues. So any linked issues, and you can say blocked by, cloned by. For me, it just relates to Steve's software house, so our software project. So whenever an issue is transitioned to done in this project for any public issues, and how do we define that it's public? We add another condition. And just like before, we say that the project is the service desk project, so our customer facing project. Okay, we've got a few things left to do here. So what we do is we go in to our actions now, because we're ready to execute on the rule. And we want to leave a comment for all of those stakeholders, whether they're customers or internal stakeholders. We want them all to be completely aware of what's happened. So this smart value, it looks intimidating, but it just means, hi, John. It's all a very fancy way of saying it. We're going to make this easier over the years. So don't shout at me, but for now, just copy and paste that, and it will print off, hi, John. We just wanted to let you know that we've released a new version of Prussian for Dummies, which resolves the following issues. And that's all there is to it. So now every customer is going to be notified when that happens. We'll take it one last step. This is our very last Lego block for today. And just so I want to show you how you can extend and constantly use this. I'll use Slack again because it's my fave. And into Slack we go, and we just have to think about the process. So when a bug has been fixed, you do all of this work fixing the bug, and then what? All right, so this automation will make sure the customers know. Fantastic, but who else needs to know? Is there maybe leadership needs to know? In my case, what I'm thinking about is the sales team. So maybe they have a couple of sales on the go, but their customers are saying, hey, not until you fix this bug or create this new feature. And once they get this notification, it's so time sensitive. So they can get it immediately, and then they can go to their customer and say, it's done, it's fixed, I told you it would be done. So we say, hey, sales team, let you know that it's ready. So we pop that into the sales channel. Now, customers know, internal stakeholders know, sales team know, everybody's aware, and we're able to see exactly what's being done. We've left comments, there's full transparency. We could extend it further, but that's all we need to do for now. So we've gone through lots of rules in the playground, and I hope you found it really, really useful. One question you might have on your lips is, oh, they all sound great, but if I'm firing all of these automation rules, how do I track what's going on? So that's probably a good chance for me to go back in here into my live product. So this is where I test rules for real life. And you can go in, click on the rules, and you'll always see an audit log here. And this will show you breadcrumbs of exactly what has fired in your rules. It's just really important for me to call that out quickly. And if you are the global admin for your company as well, you will also have access to the audit log in here, so you can see all the rules that are firing, as well as your automation usage in here as well. Okay, that is the end of our demo. So I want to bring us back and finish off with a little bit of magic from Napoleon. If you want a thing done well, do it yourself. Now, this is a quote attributed to Napoleon, which he probably said, but I would actually argue that it's the complete opposite of what you should do. One of the reasons that Napoleon failed, despite being a superb leader, was that he never really learned how to scale. He never really learned how to delegate well. So I would argue, if you want a thing done well, let automation do it. It's far more trustworthy and it scales better. So with that, I'm going to leave you with 2 calls to action. The first, please do go back into the template library, have a look through those rules that we built today, and play around with them, see how you would use them in your own instance, and then copy them into your own instance. The only way for you to learn is to try. And secondly, while you do that, you can always pop over to Audible and download Clisson and Eugenie, Napoleon's romance novella, beautiful piece of writing. So thank you very much for listening to my Team 21 demo this year. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it was actionable, and I'll talk to you all again soon.